Hello everybody, welcome to our next episode of Pokemon. So in this episode, we have just finished our first gym challenge against Brock. We made it all the way over to Mount Moon, and we stopped off in this Pokemon Center to, heal up our Pokemon, get prepared for the next leg of our journey. And Roxas basically purchased a Magikarp from the salesman in the Pokemon Center. Now, given our kind of list of restrictions and our kind of bigger roleplay style storytelling, Pokemon series, Roxas is terrified of water Pokemon, given that his father died off the coast of Pallet Town to, whether it be a tentacle attack, we're not sure, but, his dad drowned, and so Roxas has been fearful of the water ever since. So that means that I basically can't fish for Pokemon, I can't surf for Pokemon, which basically means for this playthrough we have a limited number of water types that we can, get for the completion of the story, because, we will eventually have to complete all of the gym challenges, and one of them will require us to surf on water, but for narrative reasons, that's going to basically be a big kind of story moment later on. But Magikarp is a handy, access to a water type, and narratively we've kind of explained, this Pokemon doesn't know any water moves, it just splashes around, so it's quote unquote harmless for all intents and purposes. But for this episode, Splishy the Magikarp is going to have to be out front and center for every battle that we're in the future. And basically I just did a quick cut, we ran back just to get some Pokeballs and some potions, and then we make our way into the new area of Mount Moon. Barely escaped with our lives! So, given that it's a Nuzlocke, we now have the chance to capture our first encounter here in Mount Moon, which is very exciting. Our first encounter is a Zubat. Not quite ideal considering Huntress already has such an issue with other flying types. We already caught a Jet the Spearow, but he kind of had to be put aside since Huntress has had this whole vendetta against Butterfree now. And in general, Zubat is just not great in Gen 1, a lot better in Gen 2, and Huntress nearly just one-hit KOs this bat. It is no, we're not capturing it. No, and but we do still need encounters. But we won't be putting him into the party. That is for absolutely certain. Zubat, the bat Pokemon, emits ultrasonic cries while it flies. They act as sonar used to check for objects in its way. And after some debate, we have Cullen the Zubat, named after a certain family of vampires. But as Roxas explores around the cave, we can kind of hear explosions happening deep inside the cave. And then approaching this other young trainer, he says, "Suspicious men are in the cave, what about you?" So Roxas just inquires further, what do you mean, suspicious people are in Mount Moon? And he says, yeah, I know there's people all in black with these big oars on their uniforms, and they've been carrying in explosives and other strong Pokemon, and they're just journeying deeper and deeper into the caves. And they've kind of been telling us to stay out of their way and stay near the entrance and whatever. So Roxas is obviously perturbed by this. In general, you're not really meant to be blowing apart caves in case there's a cave in or whatnot, and in general, if it was a important excavation or some such, wouldn't they have cordoned off the area or made sure there was no unsupervised access to the cave? So rather unusual. Roxas does inquire because, as well as that, there's also been like loads of other bug catchers that he's kind of had battles with, and he's basically asking, why are you in a cave? Like, bugs typically are in forests, why would you be here? And his line to Roxas is basically that, different types of Pokemon have different strengths and weaknesses, and in general you should try and cover for the weaknesses of some of your Pokemon so that it's a balanced team. So bugs in general are weak to flying and fire types and rock types. So if he captured a rock type himself, he could have his bugs be protected by sending out his a Geodude, rock and ground, to take care of fire and flying, and also be defensively good against other rock types. So that was the reason he came to Mount Moon today, and basically kind of looks towards Roxas of the Pokemon and says, there's a lot of poison types there. Maybe you should work on some type diversity. Roxas kind of wonders, is he mistaken for having both Prince and Princess in the party? And as he journeys on, he sees a lass basically exclaiming in delight that she's finally found one and she wants to use one in battle. She sounds like a Clefairy, and she explains that these are quite rare Pokemon only found in Mount Moon. And so she's very, very lucky to have one. But seeing that it seems to be a normal type, Roxas sends out Princess to double kick it to pieces. However, unfortunately, we are sung to sleep. And then Clefairy starts to growl to lower our attacks, but a quick wake up from Princess and we're back in the fight. Those growls though are proving a hindrance, as what would have been a 2-hit KO is now turning into a 3, but technically 6-hit KO from all the double kicks. But Splishy the Magikarp is soaring through levels right now, because at the end of the day, trainer XP is more lucrative than wild Pokemon experience. And then she says, in that bit of insightful information, there is actually rare fossils here buried deep inside the mountainside, so maybe she's been lucky enough to find a Clefairy, she might find a fossil too. And given that, Roxas is a competitive trader, we do have to kind of find and fight all of these trainers in Mount Moon before moving on, particularly because, we can't get back to Mount Moon for a lengthy stretch of time, so missing out on a trainer here and having to backtrack ages later would just be super annoying. Once again, another battle, another level up for our Magikarp. But here we're fighting other electric types, Magnemite and Voltorb. So kind of the first time we've seen an electric type since Pikachu. And it's nearly a good thing actually we swapped in Magikarp there, because any other Pokemon getting a Screech would just be a nightmare, because drastically lowered defense, times 4 at that point, would have made our Pokemon much, much weaker. Literally, if Butterfree had gotten 2 of those, it would have turned a 7-point damage hit into a 14 damage hit, which is just crazy. God, just keeps on screeching and screeching and screeching. We're very lucky this Pokemon doesn't know self-destruct yet, but with the poison powder we can, oh god, so it just batters into us. But with the poison ticking down and confusion being generally strong, if it had just kept going for tackles, we would have a dead Butterfree. That's just a fact there. So we kind of got a bit lucky with him just wanting to screech repeatedly. But our Princess has grown to level 14, and that's another trainer dealt with in Mount Moon. But once again, Roxas journeys on further, finds another potion, just abandoned around the area, finds a strange candy wrapper that says like for Pokemon, but pops it in his bag. And then also finds an abandoned like hiker's climbing rope and stows that away. Rounding the corner though, he finds another trainer who's just marveling at the sheer size of, you know, Mount Moon and all the stuff that's there. But now sending out the grass poison type Oddish. And this is where, you know, our Gen 1 jank is here, because Gust being a normal move is quite frustrating, purely because you've nothing that hits grass super effective or bug super effective. Like, it's a normal move, it's fine, it'll do neutral damage, but Huntress should just be such a better asset than she currently is, which is a frustration. But she still at least has the flying resistance to grass and stuff. Like, it's, you know, defensively she's fine, but it's just offensively she just doesn't get a flying move until like a little later in the game, you know. And it's just like, Gust just makes sense as a flying move, and you're literally, the animation itself is like a little tornado of wind. Why it isn't like a flying attack, we'll never know. But yeah, the two grass types, Oddish and Bellsprout. Bellsprout being way more scary because it can have a move growth that ups its special attack and defense. Terrifying, considering it already has a pretty strong special for its grass type attacks, but we are all good. Huntress tends the weeds, and we move on further into the cave and further into our story. Descending deeper into the cave, Roxas is approached by a guy in the black uniform with the red ore. And as he says, we're pulling a huge case here, and you gotta get out. So sending out a Zubat again. We're forced to face down with the Zubat, so out goes Pikachu. He was kind of falling a bit behind in levels. So it's just important that, like, we kind of give everyone a bit of a boost where we can. Leech Life in current generations is now like 90 power, but like, thank the Lord, it's only 20 power in like Generation 1, because Zubat is scary, like supersonic, like confusion damage, and like, yeah, it's not ideal. But here we have Huntress about to cross another flying type off of her list. But she's since now become confused, but hopefully her just absolute hatred of other flying types will make her just, yeah, she's like, I am on a mission, I'm not confused, I'm taking out this flying type. I couldn't stop my Pokemon trainer from capturing one, but like, I can take out every other one that comes into our zone. And now our go-to poison type specialist, Chrysis the Caterpie, just blasting it with its psychic abilities. Ekans has been felled. The Rocket then exclaims that if he finds a fossil, we better give it to them, because that's why they're here. So finding a TM and an Ether, Roxas presses on into another section of Mount Moon. We come across another Rocket, and of course, being competitive, we have to fight them all. And this guy basically explains that Team Rocket is a group of gangsters that are here to capture Pokemon, but as well as that, find and collect fossils for a big project for Team Rocket. So the Rocket sends out a Sandshrew, a very defensively powerful Pokemon, and at level 11, which is nothing to be sniffed at. Like, that is pretty high level, considering everything else we have. Like, our highest level is 14, so we don't out-level him that much. Like, we just end up with like neutered accuracy where we can't hit anything. So in comes Huntress, who like hopefully can just wear him down with her strong attack power, being level 14. Cause as good as Double Kick is when it's super effective, it doesn't get the same type attack bonus like Pidgey's normal moves are getting, since Nidoran is a poison type and the move is fighting. It's not getting an extra boost to its damage. But yeah, we just keep missing. It's an absolute nightmare. We're just getting whittled down further and further. And thankfully, you find like Whirlwind, the little ground shrew across the little chasm. And the Rocket throws out a Rattata. Kind of looking towards Roxas, he's like, you know, you look a bit familiar, which is quite strange. But regardless, you're not going to get in the way of Team Rocket's plans. We're getting those fossils, and we're going to help fix the problem. So don't get in our way, or you'll be sorry. Roxas kind of chortles back saying, well, you know, I seem to be the one that's winning. I have way more Pokemon and you only have one left. He kind of laughs then and says, well, I might only have one left, but all of yours are a lot weaker. They're all being worn down. And like, Roxas is in a bit of a panic. Like, he looks to all of his different Pokemon. They're all super weak, super tired. You know, in this kind of over-competitive, zealous, you know, I can do anything mantra, nearly all of his Pokemon got wiped out. And with a final strong Psychic Blast, the Rocket is taken care of. Looking up to the ceiling, he sees kind of a hole in the ceiling of the cave where he kind of lassos his climbing rope up and then runs out the side of the mountain back down to the Pokemon Center to regroup, heal up, and just challenge them another day. And with that, that's going to be the end of our Pokemon episode. Thanks for watching.